people who are actually just getting infectious?
So out of the 94% who are testing and knowing that they have HIV, only 90 are going for treatment. So we need to step up there. It means we have a percentage that's out there. They have the virus, but they are not yet enrolled. The risk, most likely they are passing on that infection to someone else. But once we reduce stigma, once we are active, once we support each other, you support your spouse, you encourage them, these people will be able to come out and go for treatment and follow their treatment. For those who have been able to go for treatment, they are doing so well. That's why we have 97% viral load suppression. It means those who are on treatment are not transmitting. But we still have new infections. Last year alone, we had 37,000 new HIV infections. So that's the other small percentage that is HIV positive but is not yet on treatment. It means they continue to transmit, and that is why we continue. But for us to end AIDS, we have to stop new HIV infections, because the definition of ending AIDS as a public health threat is 0 new infections, 0 AIDS-related deaths, and 0 stigma and discrimination.
About the hotspots, Director General, I was looking.
Moved outside the country, gone to Africa and the entire world. I'm now going to see you.
You can easily suppress the virus with.
Yeah, so we are using data, like you say, we've mapped out the country. Researchers have done work, and now there are parts of the country that are painted red, like you pointed out. These tend to be urban areas, so the cities and the highways, where truckers park their trucks and stop. And in each of the towns, they are able to engage with the women who are engaging in commercial sex. So that forms part of the spread. So there is a definite program that follows up and tests, the people at risk. And people at risk include women engaged in commercial sex, long-distance truck drivers, adolescent girls and young women who are either working in bars, places like markets. They are very vulnerable. So these are being tested. And when one tests positive, then the health workers are able to follow up and track down who their sexual partners are. And when they are found positive, they are enrolled on treatment. So there is a plan, and the Minister of Health, working with partners, is implementing this very well to make sure that these high-risk groups are tracked down, they are enrolled on treatment, they are able to suppress the virus, because that's the only way that will break the cycle.
Talking about DG, the people at a high risk, if you do follow the reports, what are you doing as a commission to encourage to the PS at a high risk? That really men get what they deserve to ensure that this virus.
True that men are at high risk, and they are, first of all, one of those we've identified that are affected by stigma. If you visit a typical patient facility, you'll find that it is largely dominated by women and children. So men experience a lot of stigma themselves, because society perceives them as breadwinners, as strong, and that they shouldn't fall sick. So they have been identified. Fast track initiative, the first pillar directive is to engage men to close the tap on new infections, especially in relation to adolescent girls and young women. So there are special programs, that target men. First of all, the Ministry of Health has designed programs that go to the workplace, and the most important thing is for men to be given information. That for one, to know your status, you have to test. But also the Ministry of Health has introduced self-testing, because, like we've said, the men do not easily go to the health facilities to test. But they can go to a pharmacy and pick a test kit. If they turn positive, they are given guidelines on what to do next. Go to the health worker, have that test confirmed. So you can see there are specific arrangements, self-testing, services, they have specific facilities that work beyond the working hours, after 5, where men can go in, get services as much as possible. So yes, men are being, because of the risk at which they stand, they are being targeted, and there are special programs for them.
About self-testing, DG, do you encourage people to do self-testing when it comes to this dangerous disease? Yes, we do have different mechanisms in place to ensure that I personally should know my standards for today. We still have those who fear to go into hospitals. Do you support self-testing when it comes to this dangerous disease?
Be used for the right reasons. Self-testing should not be done for you to go and engage in sex, because I have heard that there are people self-test kits at home, and when they bring a partner in and they test, and when she's negative, then they go. That is wrong. When you can be, that test can turn out negative when you are in the incubation period, when the antibodies have not yet built up to be picked. So it's very dangerous for you out there to use self-testing as a method of screening for purposes of having sex. That was not the intention. The intention was brought because of the stigma, and that those who can use this test are able to go and, from that initial screening, so that if they turn out positive, they go and seek services. If they are negative, their recommendation is on one, to do the next test, but also to keep themselves safe. So self-testing should not be used for the purpose of going out to have sex. That will be wrong, and definitely you will have problems if you use it for that purpose.
Last one, DG. Your report has a number of findings, but what is that key finding that you wish to tell a Ugandan who is watching you right now?
One of the findings in our report is that we still have babies being born and becoming HIV positive from HIV positive mothers. Last year, we had 4,700 babies born who became HIV positive. And that shouldn't happen, because we have the means to stop infections from HIV positive mothers to their babies. And that is happening because these mothers do not follow the instructions. Either after testing positive, they start on treatment and they stop, or they don't take it consistently, or for some reason, because of stigma at home, they don't follow the instructions for breastfeeding. So one of the things we would like to do by 2030 is to make sure that no Ugandan child becomes HIV positive because her mother is positive. I'm sure you've had many testimonies where either there is a couple, both of them are positive, and they have HIV negative babies. So that is one of the key things. But it's about us as individuals, that you begin with yourself and the person next to you, your partner, and within the community, in school. Should not stigmatize children, and students should not stigmatize their peers, because stigma seems to be a major stumbling block for those seeking services, for you not to be able to go for treatment. So seek information, know what it takes, what predisposes you to HIV infections, so that you're able to protect yourself.
Thank you so much, Director General. Hope to have you as we finish the event. We shall get back to you so that you summarize and what Ugandans should really expect out of the entire occasion. Thank you so much, Director General. You've heard it from the Director General, Uganda AIDS Commission. He has painted a very good picture how Ugandans really go to test for not those right reasons. They do go and test a number of issues, not knowing what they need to be done. It is very important for Ugandans to know what needs to be done. When they do have HIV/AIDS, what does that mean? you as a partner, you as a man, you as a woman, you have to ensure that you go for that testing before any other thing. It is very important. What is in place is to ensure that they do fight these other related viruses when it comes to TB, hypertension, diabetes. All those are things that are put in place to ensure that Ugandans come 2030 no more AIDS. It is an ambitious goal for Uganda. How best can this be achieved? In the UNAIDS report that was released recently, some of the things that were talked about is youths not being employed, the poverty levels, having very many sexual partners. These are things that are causing HIV to be at a high rate. However, there has been a decrease when it comes to the prevalences on how this virus has been moving. Areas of Fort Poto being rated highly, but areas like Karamoja has about 1% of those who have HIV. How can Ugandans pick a leaf from regions of Karamoja and these other regions? It is very important, and still these are things that our senior officials, ministers will be telling us to clearly understand when it comes to the findings that have been done. UNAIDS releasing a report, Uganda AIDS Commission releasing a report. How best can we pick a leaf to ensure that all these can be achieved? Adolescents have to be kept in school. That is very important, but also people being very busy and engaged on a number of activities. I'm going to be speaking to the minister in charge of presidency, Honorable Mire Babalanda. She sits at cabinet level. She's going to be painting a picture for us. What is being discussed at cabinet level? As government, what are they doing to ensure that come 2030 we do achieve that ambitious goal of ending HIV/AIDS in Uganda? Honorable Minister, you're live on UBC TV today. Uganda joins the rest of the world to celebrate this day every year, 1st December, since 1988.
Thank you. Actually, I'm going to be very brief because Dr. Msova, the Uganda AIDS Commission Director General, has said it all. Dear listeners, my name is Babiri Emile Babalanda. By the grace of God, I'm the minister in charge of presidency. Today we are commemorating World AIDS Day here in Mukenenya. Permit me to thank the NRM government under the able leadership of General retired Mzee Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, because no more dying of HIV. The drugs are available. People are living positively. So it is one of the gains under the NRM leadership. 7 core contributions of the NRM government under the able leadership of General Yoweri. So this one is one of the gains also, even if it is not mentioned in the 7 contribution of NRM government. Our people are living positively. Our people are doing their business. No more dying, no more suffering. AIDS is no more. It's no longer a threat. Therefore, it is upon the reason why I am thanking General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who is the national chairperson of NRM government. I've been talking of the gains, the 7 core contributions of the NRM government. And one of the core contributions of NRM government, the first one is peace. Our country is peaceful and stable. Number 2, our country is development. When I talk of development, I mean physical infrastructure. Number 3 is wealth. Government of NRM has come up with good programs to empower Ugandans. That is socio-economic transformation. Number 4, jobs. Where there is wealth, automatically jobs are there. Number 5, services. I came last night, I slept in a hotel. That is a service. Number 6, we talk of markets. Whether you are living positively or not, you are free to go and sell your products in the market. The government of NRM have put up so many markets across the country. And number 7 is East Africa Federation. So it is the reason why I am thanking the NRM government, including this one, because no more dying of HIV and AIDS. So I want to thank and continue, and I shall be thanking the NRM government and the under the able leadership of General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And I to kindly vote NRM so that you continue living positively. I thank you, and I want to thank all the people of Bushenyi for turning up. Though we are not realizing a big number, but people are still coming slowly. Therefore, abatuwuliriza mbasaba basebo ne bannyabo sigenda kwogera bingi kubanga ebisinga Dr. Musoba abyogedde naye ng'erinnya lyange bampita babiri emmere babalanda. Njagala okwebaza gavumenti ya NRM wansi w'obukulembeze bw'Oweekitiibwa General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni olw'okuba nti baatunula mu nsonga eno ey'okuwonya abantu akakooko akawuka ka siriimu nti abantu baffe tebakyafa kubanga siriimu eddagala weeriri ARVs are there. Abantu baffe abalina akawuka ka siriimu munywerere ku ddagala lino mumire eddagala akawuka tekakyali kizibu naye nammwe abatannakafuna kyalibadde kirungi ne mwekuma obutakafuna nammwe abakafunye ne musigala nga muli ku ddagala okulaba nti kino tekikyali kizibu tetukyeraliikirira nti tugenda kufa kubanga siriimu kubanga akakooko here in Bushenyi they call it akakooko okuba nti abantu baffe bagenda kufa. Lwaki kino nakyo nze nkifudde oba nkitadde ku gains za NRM government wansi w'obukulembeze bwa President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni nti eddagala weeriri abantu baffe tebakyafa, abantu baffe are living positively. Akawuka omuntu atambula bulungi n'otasobola nakutegeera nti alina akawuka ka siriimu bw'abanga amize eddagala lye obulungi. Yensonga lwaki tusobodde okulaba nti tujja n'eno abantu baffe bategeere nti siriimu gyali, siriimu tuli naye abantu tebakyafa siriimu kubanga wansi w'obukulembeze bwa General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni eddagala weeriri abantu tebakyafa newankubadde nga mulwadde wa siriimu atambula bulungi n'otasobola nakumuricognizinga nti alina akawuka ka siriimu. Bantu mmwe mbakubiriza omulanga nti mubeere ku ddagala mujja kufa bukadde temukyafa siriimu. Kaakati nno abantu bene Bushenyi wetubasabira akalulu ka NRM mutuyambe mutuweere Oweekitiibwa Retired General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni omukulembeze w'eggwanga era national chairman wa NRM party ate era ne ba flag bearers bonna mugende mu maaso okulivinga positively mubeere ku ddagala lyammwe. Nze ndiyise again one of the gains ze tulina wansi w'obukulembeze bw'Oweekitiibwa General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni mu gavumenti ye ya NRM. Mwebala okumpuliriza nga January 15 ffenna tulonde NRM, tulonde President Museveni, tulonde ba flag bearers bonna n'abantu baffe bonna okuviira ddala waggulu okutuuka wansi. Gw'oli mujjawa akulowoozaako n'agamba nti fa bukadde yadde olina akawuka ka siriimu. Mwebale nnyo mwebale.
Honorable nga tonadduka, Honorable Anziruseko, she has mentioned about a number of issues, talking about the gains that the NRM government is celebrating at this particular time. It is true the NRM government has put up a number of issues in place to ensure that Ugandans can be happy, Ugandans can live positively without HIV, Ugandans can have that happy life when it comes to the health sector. The interventions that are put in place, the gains that are being talked about, how best can these all be achieved and maintained? When you look at the UNAIDS report that was released recently by the ED of UNAIDS, that is Dr. Winnie Kenyemati, she did state it clearly that jobs, poverty level amongst the youths is one of the issues that are bringing up the HIV/AIDS we are talking about. But I will pose some of these questions as well to the Honorable Minister of Local Government, Honorable Raphael Magezi. Honorable, you're live on UBC. Thank you so much for honoring the invitation. Thank you so much for being here. As the Minister of Local Government, you do sit at cabinet level. A number of things are under your docket, not only programs that money in their pockets. I know those are some of the things you have in your docket, but also health. You have to ensure that the areas you command, the areas you lead really are living positively when it comes to issues concerning health. Honorable.
Thank you very much. Friends, apart from being a Minister of Local Government, this is my home. So Karibu, welcome home. I want to thank the government for deciding to bring the World AIDS Day commemoration to Bushenyi this year. We are proud, and I've been with the organizing team. I've been with the stakeholders, especially on Saturday. We had the national prayer and Thanksgiving function at the district headquarters. And yesterday we had the Mpumo Run. All this aimed at achieving certain things at the local level. Local government is where things happen. Talk about health, this is where the health units are. Talk about education under decentralization. It's the local governments responsible for the schools. Talk about community mobilization. There is no way we're going to mobilize the community without the local leaders. Talk about wealth creation. All these, they are implemented at the locality. So we're talking of a combined staff strength of 1.2 million from LOC1 to the ministry level. This is big. So I'm glad that I joined the partners and local government leaders this weekend to agree on certain things. And on Saturday, we committed ourselves to support the call of His Excellency the President, his determination to end HIV and AIDS in Uganda by 2030. And that means end infection. That means end stigma. And that means end death. How do we do it? Well, I know that there is some bit of decline in support by some donors, but the partners who are with us and those who are here confirmed to me that there will be continued support to the government in terms of funding, mobilizing resources, and supporting our general effort as a country. At the local government level, the commitment we seem to be seeing coming out is, number one, take the lead in the fight against HIV/AIDS. And that means reawakening the district HIV/AIDS committees. That means mainstreaming the fight against HIV/AIDS, the issues related to that, in the district plans, in the district budgets, in our general activities to which we are responsible. Now the districts, through district of Bushenyi, informed me, I should inform the President. We are going to ensure that we commit ourselves to minimum 1% of the budget towards the fight of HIV/AIDS and other diseases related to that. And we also are going to see how we mobilize them so that we support the request by the National Forum of Persons Living with HIV and AIDS in Uganda for construction of their offices. We think it can be done if we provide, say, 1 million per district and city and municipality. That would raise about 176 million shillings. So it's my commitment as a minister to mobilize my colleagues, the chairpersons, their worship, the mayors, the cows, the town clerks. Within the budget of the local, it's not impossible to provide 1 million shillings. But also, I'm happy that the local leaders informed me they are ready at the district level to identify an office, a coordination office for the fight against HIV/AIDS. Because in each district, we seem to be seeing a team, an NGO, an organized group of persons living with HIV and AIDS who are boldly ready to come out and say, here we are, ready to end this infection. So I'll talk to my colleagues to see, can we, within our facilities, identify a coordinating office at the district level. But also finally, to be good examples, we leaders, we must be good examples. Before you talk of the president, ministers, members of parliament, my concern and focus is on the local council leaders. The chairpersons LOC1 and 2 and 3 and 5, that we must be in the lead in terms of being the right examples. What do I mean? I mean, responsible sexual behavior. It cannot be a leader who is out in the public terrorizing everybody, spreading out the disease. It cannot be a leader. Then we must be also on the lead in terms of testing, so that we know our status is good, because government will give you the support. And once you find that you are okay, you don't have it, then avoid it. Take the necessary steps to commit to your partners, avoid it. And if you find you have it, it's not the end of the world. We had a lot of testimonies this weekend of people who have lived with this disease for 20 years plus, and they are living healthy lives, they are doing their work, they are with their families, because they accepted their status and took on the ART drugs. So, if the local leaders go in that direction, hopefully, as we move towards science and research, hopefully we shall reach a vaccine. Already there is that possibility of piloting whatever they have researched. So, the local leaders are key. That's why I'm here. I'm here not just because I'm a born of Mukenenya. I'm here to mobilize the local government leaders. We must fight the disease. We did it with COVID. It is the local leaders who fought COVID, who ensured that, the mobilization, the identification, the provision of knowledge and awareness was done at the local level. So let's now talk to our colleagues, the religious leaders, to have a message on HIV/AIDS in their sermons. Let's talk to our colleagues in the media. You guys, that you commit a bit of time every day to talk about HIV and AIDS. This thing can be ended by 2030.
Honorable, the UNAIDS report has it that poverty, lack of jobs, more so in the youths. That is in the recent report that was released. You've talked about wealth creation. What are you doing as the minister sitting at cabinet level as government to ensure that youths can really get the jobs that they deserve, to maybe to stop being redundant and engaging in acts that might bring this virus back on board?
It's not just the youth. It's every Ugandan who is supposed to have an income, and you are living in subsistence, simply working from hand to mouth, sometimes barely surviving. If you are in that situation, then you are easily prone to this kind of challenge, because you'll get some of the, not just young people, but even the mature people, because you are facing a certain situation, a certain need, you are open to infection. You're looking for alternatives from anybody. You know that, yes, your husband has a problem running up and down with women, but because of the challenges of low income, you're wondering, what do I do if I leave him? Where do I go? So you end up with the same problem. So I totally agree. Inadequate income means you have poor living conditions. Once you feed badly, how do you fight this disease? So what do we do as a local government? And why do I say that local government is the centerpiece of government? When you look at the programs of government for wealth creation, whether it's PDM, whether it's yoga, Youth Livelihood Fund, Women Empowerment, for the elderly and so on, the implementation of these programs is at the local level. So my call is on the local government leaders. Let us ensure strong, effective implementation of government programs, because the president prioritizing wealth is very clear in his mind of the link between wealth, nutrition, and the fight against HIV. For me, that is clear. And then he's of recent now also pointed out, you're talking about jobs for the youth. Jobs cannot be in government offices, because you're talking of 480,000 people only out of 48 million Ugandans. We cannot all go to fight for that. But that's why the president says, where are the jobs? They are in household wealth creation programs. They are in skilling the youth. And wherever the president has gone, he has pointed out, the minute you skill this young person, then with his carpentry workshop, then in her salon, she's able to employ 2 other people. That is jobs. It is in industrialization and manufacturing. And I'm glad that the local governments, since 2-3 years ago, committed 200 acres, 300 acres, 500 acres of land for investors who want to invest in factories and value addition facilities in their areas. That's the best way to create jobs. Otherwise, you cannot tell me, Minister of Local Government, I want a job in local government. Which one? You want me to send away cows? The cows are only 130. How many of you can become now cows? The town clerks are only 31 for municipalities. So, yes, you can be trained in public administration, but I want to believe you can use that knowledge in managing your private enterprise. So privatization, local investment, wealth creation, that's where the jobs are.
Thank you,
Those
sir.
are at the local government level.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister for Local Government, Raphael Magezi. He has painted clearly a very, very good picture on what local government is doing to ensure that Ugandans can have the better jobs that they do deserve. Ugandans can have the basis, that foundation, that core value of ensuring that they can sustain themselves financially, economically, not forgetting what government has put in place, the different programs. The minister has talked about them. We do have Yoga, we do have PDM, we do have very many other projects that have started way back, the Ntandikwa, and very many others. The issue is how best can all these things be sustained. The UNAIDS report that was released, yes, in 2025, they did talk about sustainability plans. UNAIDS is working with about 30 other countries to ensure that they have sustainability plans. Part of those countries, we do have Uganda, we do have Cote d'Ivoire, we do have Tanzania, and very many other districts. So how do we ensure that all this can be achieved? It is very important, but of course, we are waiting for the Vice President of Uganda, Major General Jessica Alupo, who is the guest of honor, and she will be representing the President Museveni, who is still going on with the campaigns. I'm going to be talking to the chairperson of the Education Service Commission. Education plays a very, very pivotal role to ensure that adolescents are kept in school. What do they teach these youths? When they are done from school, how best can they carry on the message to the public and wherever they go to have a better future? Doctor, thank you so much, Mr. Samuel Lukoba, right? Luboga, thank you so much for the correction. Education Service Commission, what do you have in place? The UNAIDS report has it clearly that we must keep adolescents in school. But what message, what do you tell these children to ensure that come 2030, no more AIDS in Uganda? I will hold the mic.
First of all, I thank you for inviting me, for giving me this opportunity. I start by telling you what we as the Education Service Commission are doing in the fight against HIV/AIDS. We have an HIV/AIDS committee. We organize AIDS prevention days every year, where we invite eminent persons to talk to our staff. We have made IEC materials. We display them around the entire commission. And whenever we get a big gathering of our stakeholders, the teachers, we display AIDS messages. When we talk to them, the point is we want them to go back. And when they talk to our students, educate them, inform them that the reason they're in school is to study and to grow and be prepared to perform adult roles. And to do that, they need to keep safe. There is no success without safety. We also distribute AIDS prevention aids like condoms in the commission. And we have attended this event in big force. I also, as chairperson Education Service Commission, visit many schools,
one of the best
and I conduct
performing primary schools
motivational talks entitled The Difficult Road to Success. And
it
in
is
there,
located
I
on
emphasize
the highway.
the
As you live
definition
here
of
heading to
sexuality
Mbarara,
and the fact
they
that
receive
sexuality
children
is
of
going nowhere.
all.
No, even when you wait and grow up, you find it.
From all
And
tribes.
that when you finally done,
Of
you
recent,
leave it
I'm
here.
told,
And I
they
tell
have
them the
received
purpose
from
of
as
being
far as
in
West
school,
Nile.
and
Because
not just to grow up,
of
but it is to prepare them for adult roles.
their
And I therefore give them
performance.
tips for
Per Junior,
surviving
please.
HIV/AIDS.
A few minutes
Thank you.
have been
Chairperson,
allocated.
as a commission,
That's what
you as a
perform.
father, as a leader,
I
you've
recognize
done whatever it takes to ensure that
presence of
the students,
RDC
because we are
Ntungamo.
talking about the grassroots, and the grassroots we are talking
With
about
us,
children who are
RDC
going to
Ntungamo,
school.
please. You are most
Do we have
welcome.
some follow-up measures
The
to ensure that
Principal
the
Assistant
children who
Secretary
release
representing
out
the
of
Chief
school today,
Administrative Office and
they can as
Ntungamo,
well find
you are
a
most
brighter
welcome.
future talking
Assistant
about health
DHO,
still?
You know, my background is as chairperson of the
representing
Uganda AIDS
the
Forum,
DHO Ntungamo.
Uganda Youth Forum.
I recognize the presence
There
of the
we
RDC
popularized the
Ntungamo
true love weights,
district.
and we follow
I
up
recognize
and have been invited to numerous
Commissioner
weddings.
at
And people
days.
who waited have displayed the
Ogunumwana
true
wetu
love
waha,
weights cards
kandi
and
we
exchange,
commissioner wa
giving
human
them to
resource
their
in the Ministry of
married
Trade and
couples.
Industry. Kandi is an
And
Atimu
therefore
Bangu.
it
You are
shows
most welcome.
that it
Ministry of
works.
Trade.
If people
I
wait,
recognize
they can
the
achieve
Deputy Chief
success.
Administrative Officer,
And many people have grown
Bushegi,
up and
Mr.
attribute their
Mbonye
survival
Emmanuel.
to the fact that
You are
Dr.
I
Steele,
recognize
whatever we are talking about, the choices we make,
meantime,
all lives,
Paris
millions of Ugandans, millions of people elsewhere in the world are depending on the choices we make. How best can we come up with better choices to ensure that we avoid all this?
Here comes
well, I
Pearl
display
Junior School
to
with
students
a mind. This
the
month talks
first
about
things first
HIV/AIDS.
choice priority
dedicated to
setting
the youth,
quadrant,
Schoolgoers,
in which I
and to our
discuss
parents.
with them things that are
Together
urgent
we
and
must stand
important,
and chase our world.
saving lives. But I also tell them things that are urgent but not important, and these are usually fun, prioritizing phone calls and things like that. Those are not important. And then I tell them about things that are not important and not urgent. And these are the gospel they involve themselves in, talking all day long about Man U and Chelsea and things like that, and engaging in loose talk that's not urgent and not important. And then I conclude by telling them where their choices should be most concentrated in the things that are important but not urgent. And this includes growing up, waiting until you are married, and raising a family and supporting your country to develop. These are things that are not urgent. You can't do them as an emergency. But if you wait, you have opportunity to plan and do them well. And we need young people who are growing up to make choices. And I tell them that it doesn't matter what we think about our children. We will leave this country to them. Therefore, it is important that we invest in making them make right choices now when the time is still at hand.
Before I let you go, how best can Ugandans practically engage in activities that can help in the fight of HIV/AIDS, since we have that ambitious goal come 2030 of ending this disease?
Well, young people are encouraged, first of all, to respect work. Make sure that they are busy doing good, because an idle mind is a laboratory for Satan. Number two, they should value themselves. They are valuable, they are more than their weight in gold to this country. They shouldn't do things that would damage their lives. They should also embrace education, because without education, they cannot succeed. And lastly, we urge them to shun all evil in all its forms. That way, we will have a generation that will carry this country forward.
As I let you go, I may not get another chance of talking to you between the day or later. That last message that Ugandans must consume. It is not only for the youths, not only for the children, not only for the schools, but the entire country and world at large.
The message is that this country belongs to us all. And our future are our children. And whether we want it or not, we will leave our country to our children. We had better spend time to prepare them for tomorrow instead of being preoccupied in preparing for them, building mansions and making sure we leave wealth with them which will be squandered. Instead, we should make sure that our children, the children we leave, have strong stamina. They are able to carry this country forward. And to do that, we need them to avoid catching AIDS. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chairperson, Education Service Commission. Thank you so much for that insight. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be handing over to the technical crew. We are going to be getting a feel of what exactly is happening, what is happening. We do have different dignitaries who are in place here. The Vice President, who is the guest of honor, will be arriving anytime from now. But we, in the tent, we do have different dignitaries. We do have ministers. We do have religious leaders. We do have officers, policemen. We do have those from Uganda prisons. We do have children. We do have a number of people. I've seen senior officials from United Nations. I've seen those from World Health Organization. That is WHO. That is an organization in charge of issues concerning health around the world. We do have students who are doing a number of performances, acting things that Ugandans need to know to ensure that they do fight this disease, HIV/AIDS. We are talking about the ambitious goal that Uganda has is to fight this disease. Come 2030, how best can this be achieved? The Uganda AIDS Commission did file a report. A number of findings are in there. The UNAIDS also did this release a report. A number of things are there. The Ministry of Health also has a number of innovations, a number of ideas, innovations that are put in place to ensure Ugandans can pick a leaf. What do they need to know? How best can we fight this? If men are not taking up the mantle to fight this disease, it is very technical. So we men, we do have to ensure that we do fight the lead. I did talk about the cultural leaders that we do have here. They do play a pivotal role. They do always arrange gatherings. They do talk to people on a number of issues. So we shall be understanding what needs to be done. They will be telling us who they are. Nyabo oli buterevu ku UBC amanyago ebitibyo byonna byogwamu na kiki kye mukola okulaba nti musaasaanya enjiri ey'okulwanyisa akawuka akayita Mukenenya mu bantu.
Erinnya nze Nalongo Nansamba nga nze pulezidenti w'abasawo b'ekinnansi mu ggwanga. Tukoze omulimu munene nnyo ne tuteekawo olusiisira lw'ebyobulamu okulaba nti abantu baffe beekebeza ne batajja mu kweraguza waffe kokka ng'ate balwadde. Era tubakubiriza nti bwe baba banajja ewaffe mu basawo b'ekinnansi bamale kugenda babakebere bamanye nti balamu awo balyoke bajje ewaffe. Era tukoze omulimu munene nnyo okugamba abasawo b'ekinnansi obutakwata jirita kugisaza muntu ate ne baddamu ne bagisaza ne ku muntu omulala. Ogwo nno omulimu tugukoledde ddala n'okulaba nti tubateekamu emisomo egisobola okubamanyisa nti nabo balina okwekebeza ne batawoza nti jjajja yagenda okubakebera akawuka ka siriimu. Tukolaganira wamu n'ekitongole kya Uganda AIDS. Era tuzze muno tumazeemu wiiki 2 nga tukuba enkiiko mu basawo baffe ab'ekinnansi n'abakkiriza ab'enzikiriza mu y'obuwangwa n'ennono okulaba nga tubasomesa bayina amakanisa oba amasinzizo nga bakuŋŋaanya abantu bangi buli lunaku. Kati nga tufuba okulaba nga tubasomesa bamanye nti balina okukuŋŋaanya abantu naye ng'abantu be bakuŋŋaanya balamu nga tebalina kawuka ka siriimu. Era twebaza gavumenti yaffe ne ya Pulezidenti Museveni kubanga naffe abasawo b'ekinnansi esobodde otuteekateeka n'etujjayo naffe tusobole okutambulira awamu nayo.
Bingi ebiboogerwako ng'abasawo b'ekinnansi ku bintu bimu kwa ne President Museveni mwenyini azenga akyogerako nti bannanga abantu mugende mu malwaliro abantu bangi basaasanya amawulire oba oliawo agatali matuufu ku mirimu gye mukola eyo kiki kye mukola okulongoosa erinnya lyammwe n'abantu ogenda mu maaso okusigala nga babakkiririzaamu
era tukoze kyamaanyi nnyo okulaba nga tulongoosa tutuukagane n'omutindo gw'abasawo abazungu tukolaganira wamu n'abasawo abazungu okulaba nga tusobola okujjanjaba abantu baffe ate naffe kennyini tufuba nnyo okulaba nga tunoonyereza eddagala eryo erireetebwa obulwadde bw'akawuka bwa siriimu tebuleeta kubanga buleeta omusujja buleeta okuddukana buleeta okulumwa omutwe naffe tufuba okulaba nga tunoonya ku ddagala eryo era n'asobola okutuukirawo mu ddwaliro ate era tukoze omulimu munene nnyo okulaba nga tuteekamu emisomo mu basawo b'ekinnansi kubanga gye buvudde emabega nga buli ekikolobero ekikolebwa bakutte omukazi mu ssabo nga bagamba nti musawo basaddaase omuntu nga bagamba nti musawo kati naffe twenyigira mu pulogulaamu za gavumenti okulaga abantu nti naffe tetuli bakozi ba bikolobero wabula waliwo abadwerimbikamu era nga bw'okimanyi nti buli mulimo gwonna ne mu balokole wabaayo abakwata abantu wabaayo abasaddaka kati nga bw'okimanyi nti abafere bayingira mu buli kintu kyonna naye naffe tufubye okulaba nga tutereeza obusawo bwaffe obw'ekinnansi abantu basobole okubwagala.
Nalongo tweyanze kale. Thank you so much Nalongo. You've heard it from abasawo ab'ekinnansi. They also do pass over the message in different ways on how Ugandans really need to understand the different perceptions that we do have of these people. They're also saying they're doing the right thing. The President of the Republic of Uganda has always been talking about this. Now I'm going to be talking to the religious fraternity, the religious leaders. They also play a very, very pivotal role in addressing this. They do have a number of masses, the congregations while in church, and wherever they go, this is the message that they do preach to Uganda, and so they play a role as well to fight AIDS, since Uganda has that goal of fighting this come 2030. I do have the Bishop of Ankole Diocese. He will be telling us what they are doing as the church to ensure that they pass over the message to Ugandans. Bishop, you're most welcome. Thank you so much. You're live on UBC TV. The religious leaders, you play a very, very big role in teaching the people, the gatherings, a number of things, and government has hopes in you. Since you talk to a number of people, the youths, the elders, very many other people, what are you doing as the church to ensure that this message gets to that last wananchi as well?
So thank you very much. As a church, we are concerned, and of course we cannot stop calling people to getting serious with their lives. We have to call upon them to make sure they get serious with their lives. Because you see, the heart of the problem is the problem of the heart. We can have interventions, and this is what the government is doing. There's a lot of good programming for the eradication of HIV/AIDS by 2030. But you see, it all begins from the heart. The moment you say, I am going to make sure I prioritize the sanctity of life and protect myself from becoming a victim of circumstances, then you will fight AIDS. So fighting HIV/AIDS begins with our hearts. Because when you decide to say no to adultery and fornication and irresponsible sex, I can assure you we shall be very far in fighting this AIDS. For example, there are young people now who are not aware of the ABC model like we used to do. And now they see HIV as another problem that can be handled. They are belittling the problem of the scourge, and that is very, very dangerous. So we keep preaching the gospel and getting involved in these national programs to make sure that we all fight together. So thank you very much.
Bishop, before I let you go, we still have people that have different perceptions when they come to churches. what is that takeaway message that Ugandans have to embrace? Because you, our leaders, you do have the knowledge, you have traversed the country, the entire world, you've moved to places, and a lot of things that you do carry from different areas to come and preach this gospel.
You see, when we talk of the church, we have to remember that not every organization, not every assembly that calls itself church is a true church. Because I have seen people who preach a different gospel from what the church should be preaching.
The contribution
And if, for example,
assistance
there is a church which does
and
not
active
fight
participation
sin, does
of
not
the
preach
Uganda
against
AIDS
sin,
Commission.
that's a problem. So,
Mwebale
for
Mnonga,
me
thank you
as
for being
bishop,
here
I am
for
aware
over-
that God loves
for
us
now 3 days,
and He sent the
and
Lord
we
Jesus
have worked
Christ
with you as a district
fight sin,
for
to
the
make
last
sure that we
2
repent
months
of our
preparing
sins
for this function.
and live good
Thank
lives
you, Uganda AIDS
until
Commission,
we are off here,
and we thank
then
all
we
your
end
partners,
up to live with Him in
those who
heaven.
have supported
So,
you.
this is what
Make
we
sure
should be preaching. We
that
should preach against sin and preach the
We have
sinfulness of
this
sin
function
and the
of
consequences
making
of sin as well,
as
so
colorful
people can
as it
stay away
is.
from evil. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bishop. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, as I do talk right now, the guest of honor, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Jessica Alupo, has arrived here in Bushenyi, where we are celebrating the World AIDS International Day. She's received by the Minister for Presidency, that is Honorable Mire Babalanda. I am seeing the Honorable Minister for Local Government, Raphael Majezi, and very many other dignitaries. I've seen the Director General of Uganda AIDS Commission. He is also among those receiving the guest of honor. I also seen the chairperson of the AIDS Commission. I've also seen very many other dignitaries. The bishops are also around to ensure that they do grace the occasion. It is today that Uganda is joining the rest of the world to commemorate the World AIDS Day since 1988. What is the message that Ugandans need to understand? If the government has come up with a number of interventions, a number of issues in place to ensure that we fight this vice come 2030, the UNAIDS report says that they know what it requires. We do have the tools, we do have the machines, and whatever it takes. The health sector has the doctors, it has the nurses, and whoever is responsible to fight this vice. But it is not only for the government, but it is also to everyone, every Ugandan. About 43 million people die, actually have AIDS in the whole world at large. The World Health Organization is also putting up a number of policies to ensure that people really have good health. How can this be achieved? These are questions that Ugandans who are watching UBC right now have, but we shall be hearing from the guest of honor, Jessica Alupo, the Vice President, who is representing Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of Uganda, who is going on with the process of traversing the country. The presidential campaigns are still going on, but that doesn't really fail such an important occasion from going on. He has a number of people in place, those who can really pass over the message. So today, we do have a theme that must be followed, that is overcoming disruptions, transforming the AIDS response. It is very important. How can this be achieved? Still, that is a question that needs to be addressed. Today, 40.8 million people are living with HIV worldwide, and of those 1.3 million new infections and 9.2 million people are still not accessing treatment. That is according to the UNAIDS report. So what does that mean? Millions of lives depend on the choices that the leaders make today. How do we pick a leaf? Well, to give you a geographical graph on how things are happening, HIV infections fall in hotspot districts. That is according to the report of Uganda AIDS Commission 2020 versus 2024. Fort Portal City is number one. It did have about 17.5%. That is the HIV infection rate, but for now it has reduced to about 12.5, 12.7. around there, but still it is topping the table. Chotera coming in second, Kalangala coming in third, Soroti City, Chiruhura, Mbara City, Masaka, Gulu City, Kabarole, Lira City, Buikwe, Kanungu, Bukomansimbi, Bunyangabu, Luengo, and Pader. That is part of the graph that was released by the Uganda AIDS Commission. Now, what needs to be done? The political leadership and ownership needs to be embraced, greater accountability and integration of HIV responsibilities into all levels of government is one of the core values that really is on the roadmap, focusing on the 5 key domains on what needs to be done to ensure that come 2030 we do not have AIDS in Uganda. Now, the Vice President, Jessica Alupo, is visiting a number of tents, as you can see, being accompanied by the different honorable ministers, the Director Generals, and other dignitaries who are escorting her to the different tents to show her what is being exhibited, what needs to be done, and maybe it is from that she will be giving us whatever she has prepared from government for Ugandans. Going back to the roadmap, focusing on the 5 key domains, we do have enabling environment, that is revising or removing policies that hinder access to HIV services and promoting those that encourage update. That is number 2. And 3, the domestic resource mobilization. I did say earlier that UNAIDS is working with a number of about 30 countries, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Cote d'Ivoire, South Africa, and very many others, to see how best they can come up with a sustainability plan of ensuring that come 2030 this ambitious goal is achieved. So about the domestic revenue mobilization, tapping into private sector contributions and community structures to spread messages and mobilize support is part of the things that the government is looking at or think can help to fight the vice. The programmatic integration, that is mainstreaming HIV services into existing sectors like health, education, agriculture, gender and security. And lastly, there is the system of resilience, equipping facilities to serve multiple health needs, ensuring continued operation during funding downtowns. Those are the 5 key pillars that are being looked at to ensure that Ugandans can really follow those policies to ensure that come 2030, no more AIDS in Uganda. Now, the map of Uganda clearly also shows the geographical variations in the HIV prevalence, and when you do look at that, we do have Bunyoro. Bunyoro has about 4.7%, Tororo 4.9%, Ankole 6.3%, Chigezi 4.9%, Acholi 7.0%, Teso 3.3%. That is according to the different variations and the HIV prevalence on how things are happening. To give you a brief, for those who are joining us, we are coming to you live from Bushenyi, where the guest of honor, Her Excellency Jessica Alupo, is representing the President of Uganda as Uganda joins the rest of the world in commemorating the International World AIDS Day. It is very important to also note that different government initiatives have been brought on board, but we shall be understanding some of these other factors and what is being done. Now, the US government a few months ago did cut off the foreign aid across the world, which resulted in Uganda losing funding worth 604 billion shillings. That is for HIV, AIDS, malaria, TB, nutrition services. The question is, how best can now Uganda health sector become self-reliant too, and to end the reliance on foreign aid? Well, the minister here has talked about how the government of Uganda is ready to ensure that they invest in more money, increase on the budget when it comes to the health sector, to ensure that some of these things can really be fought without relying on the foreign aid. The question is also now, failure to reach the 2030 global HIV targets of the next global AIDS strategy, it could result in an additional 3.3 million new HIV infections between 2025 and 2030. So all policies, whatever measures have been put in place, they must be embraced, they must be abided to, they must be followed to ensure that this ambitious goal is followed. It is very key. But also, how is the ministry strengthening community to really ensure that they take this at heart to have a very successful response. Remember, the voices of the community, the leadership, and the lived experience drive progress and accountability. And lastly, before still I hand over to the technical crew to give you a feel of what exactly is happening, is new HIV infections in Uganda have dropped from 96,000 in 2010 to 37,000 in 2024, and AIDS death from 56,000 to 20,000 according to Uganda AIDS Commission. As I hand over, it is very important to as well note that whatever has to be achieved when it comes to the global AIDS strategy is to ensure that Ugandans and everyone, the wananchi, follow whatever is there in place, the policies put in place, the strategies to ensure that this goal is achieved come 2030. Otherwise, between 2025 to 2030, we might have other HIV infections to ensure that Ugandans achieve what they do achieve. Now, the Ministry of Health also has a strategy of the 2 injections that those suffering from the virus can receive at least a 2-year injection, that is every after 6 months, to ensure that those who do not really get the medicine, they can really go for this. But the PS for the Ministry of Health, Dr. Diana Atwine, when I had a chat with her a few days ago, she did say that this is expensive. It may not be for everyone, but of course government has measures of ensuring that most of the Ugandans can achieve this. So if the death toll has reduced from about 56,000 to 20,000, indeed, the government has done whatever it takes. Now, with us here in Bushenyi, the guest of honor, Her Excellency the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Jessica Alupo, she is visiting a number of tents, a number of things have been exhibited, so she is appreciating what has been put in place, what has been organized by the Ankole region, what is there that she has to earmark to ensure that Ugandans as well pick a leaf. That is according to her speech that she will be giving, since she is representing the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who is still going on with his campaign trail. We do understand that he is within the region, but of course he has sent a representative who will be telling us what government has in place as Uganda commemorates 1st December every year since 1988, when it was designated to create awareness about the HIV/AIDS virus, the disease, but also to mourn those who have passed on with this disease. We do have a number of people around here in Bushenyi who have joined. Most of you people who are watching us from wherever you are, from the different parts of the country, to commemorate this day. We do have schools, we do have students, we do have the village fraternity that are all here, and they are embracing this occasion. We do have religious leaders, we do have officials from the World Health Organization, we do have officials from the Ministry of Health, we do have officers from the Uganda Prison Services, Uganda Police Force, the UPDF, all are here to really grace this occasion. What does that mean? The entire government is really represented with the different senior officials from the different ministries and from the different organizations. Now, our role as the national broadcaster, we as journalists, is to ensure that you receive the message as is and what exactly is transpiring in the future. The Uganda Education Service Commission, as I was talking to the chairperson, he did mention what they are doing to ensure that this message gets to the grassroots, what they are doing to ensure that they reach all schools, all students, and what has to be followed, how do they pass over the message to the different people. Remember, if you do not start with the grassroots, it is very, very dangerous. So the youths, the children, how best can mothers give birth to babies without HIV. They did talk about the Director General of Uganda AIDS Commission. He did talk about how men are not really embracing the testing. They do have the fear, the stigmatization. They do not want to carry the mantle. But it gets back to you as a Ugandan to ensure that you fight this vice. How best can all this be achieved? Now, those are things that you as a Ugandan, you must ask yourself to ensure that you play a role, a practical role. As government plays its part, you as a Ugandan, you as an individual, you also play a key role to ensure that come 2030, the virus can be done out of Uganda. Now, part of the drivers of HIV/AIDS is that transactional sex, the multiple sexual partners, poverty, income inequality, among others. Now, that was in the UNAIDS report 2025 that was released this very year recently by the ED of UNAIDS, that is Winnie Byanyima. Talking about poverty, the Minister for Local Government did talk about what they are doing as government at cabinet level. A number of things are being discussed to ensure that Ugandans can have that economy they deserve. They can have that income that comes in daily. But it did also talk about the people working hand to mouth, that subsistence economy. How best can all this be achieved? It is very important if Ugandans really embrace what there is and what is being done. Now, if you do remember, Uganda did expect to receive its first 2 monthly HIV/AIDS injectable treatment doses. That was in Feb 2025, following the approval given by the National Drug Authority. I do understand there is a batch that arrived, and the ministry, together with other bodies, are still doing a number of issues to see how best can Uganda get this medicine. The National Drug Authority ensuring that the supply is adequate, but also ensuring that this is really embraced. We still have people that don't want to take this as a serious disease, as the ministry is fighting the disease. All right now, ladies and gentlemen, let me hand over to the technical crew and we get the feel on how the Vice President is going around the different exhibitions that have been put in place, but also appreciate what Ugandans have put in place.
You're welcome, Your Excellency. So this is Baylor College of Medicine. On our stall, we have a call center, which we call the National HIV and Health Consultation Call Center. So in this call center, we aid consultations to do with HIV and TB care and treatment. So a healthcare worker can call in and consult us and we guide. Then my colleague here is under the Community Advisory Board that does research in Baylor Foundation Uganda. So we are linked between the community and the research, yes. All right, thank you so much.
You are welcome, Your Excellency. This is the Judicial Service Commission, the People's Bridge to Justice. In addition to recruiting and disciplining for the judiciary, we have a mandate of civic awareness, educating people on various aspects of the law and administration of justice in Uganda, ensuring justice for all. Yes, we have a package here for you and our other dignified guests. Yes. Sometimes they face stigma, sometimes they face difficulty in accessing courts. So we have here a handbook that is written in P7 level English that can be used by all Ugandans in various institutions regard to the law and access to justice. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellence.
Yes, from State House, Medical Department, HIV mainstream. This is what we normally do at our workplace. We make sure we test our staff, and when they have any issues, we direct them where they can go for help. And initially from there also we do support. And this book is also not just a book, it has some information. Yes, yes. This one is for it uses saliva. Yes. This book here is just not an ordinary book. It has some information, because when you give them flyers, they always throw away. So they are not, so the contents are here. We are creating awareness. First page. Yeah. The information, not just the pictures. The information, yes. And this time we have also added the calendar. Yes. It is there.
You're most welcome, Your Excellency. This is Microhem Scientific. They are pioneers. We are pioneers in local manufacturing of IVD testing kits. This is a HIV testing kit.
That's for sickle cell?
Yes, we have also sickle cell testing kits. We also have malaria testing kits. Our 4 pillars are affordability, availability, and high quality to reduce the dependency on importation.
A pack of 25.
Yes, that is an HIV testing kit. It has everything. It has the precursors. Thank you very much.
It's a profession. It's for professional use. It's not a self-test.
We are expanding, and we are also doing self-testing.
You are welcome, Your Excellency. This is the National Forum of People Living with HIV, and we are the reason this day happens. We live with HIV, and we are organized in a national network that has 135 district networks, 10 national networks, and 10 city forums. Our main role, I won't go into detail, is to bring our lived experiences into the national policy, programming, service delivery, but also to monitor the quality of services. We also do pharmacovigilance. If medication is not working well, we bring the story to the government to change. We provide psychosocial support. We have an AIDS helpline where those who are still having issues with disclosure, we provide online counseling. But today, Your Excellency, this is not what we are talking about. The funding cuts have affected us so much. We have our networks are closed, but the secretariat that is coordinating is shut down. Uganda AIDS Commission has given us one desk to sit, but we are coordinating the country. We are requesting you to support us build a home of people living with HIV, a home of champions, where we can sit, coordinate, and ensure that we further mobilize ourselves to lower the prevalence from 4.9 to maybe 0.1, and also to ensure that, yes, get for me my card. Get for me my card. I'm going to give. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and honorable ministers for coming.
Honorable Minister, for us we are Uganet, and we are the Ugandan Network on Law, Ethics, HIV and AIDS. For 30 years we have been providing legal aid to people living with HIV, and we promote human rights for people living with HIV. We are the people that bank tables where policies have been criminalizing people living with HIV. and we are honored to have you visit us here. Thank you.
Yes, Your Excellency. I'm Harriet Sentongo from TASO, the AIDS Support Organization. We've been in existence for quite a long time. Your Excellency, we have all the services that we offer being driven by the guidelines under Ministry of Health under the consolidated guidelines for prevention and treatment of HIV and AIDS. Recently, Your Excellency, Ministry of Health rolled out integrated health service deliveries where we include the communicable and non-communicable diseases. So as you see here, Your Excellency, we have, as we integrate our health services in HIV prevention and treatment, we have other drugs for hypertension and then diabetes. I have a colleague also to start.
Your Excellency, you are most welcome. This is Uganda AIDS Commission, the staff here. We've got our Director General with us here. If he can be closer, and the chairperson of the board is us. And our minister, whom we love so much for the presidency, is here with us. So Uganda AIDS Commission is complete. And Minister for Local Government, the one we partner to implement the Presidential Fast Track Initiative. We can't do without local government and in partnership. That's why we're here in Bushenyi, because Bushenyi is one of the most active local governments that we are working with. So we are implementing the Presidential Fast Track Initiative, Your Excellency, and there is a report here on how much we have been able to do, and a lot is being achieved. We appreciate your coming.
You're very welcome, Your Excellency, Minister. This is the Joint Clinical Research Center, and we not only provide services in treatment and prevention of HIV, but we are also into basic science, looking at a cure for HIV. We have balanced hope, optimism, that very soon we should be able to have a cure for HIV, because we need sustainability, whereby we have an HIV-free generation. So we are pushing prevention strategies, treatment, but also looking into a cure. And as the pathogen economy work is going on, we are saying that if we can provide a cure, we would not only provide jobs, we'll have a more productive economy, and also be able to give these services to people within the African region. So you're most welcome. Thank you. So we've done preclinical studies, and we know that molecular tools like CRISPR can be able to cure HIV. Yes, so we are going into animal studies. Yes, there is hope, definitely. Yes. Maybe next time. Yes, but we give you hope, an end result, a tangible one. So let's work together. You invest in research and development, and also we work on it. Thank you.
African anthem.
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tulilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. Uzalendo pia mshikamano viwe msingi wa umoja wetu, na tulinde uhuru na amani, mila zetu na desturi zetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tulilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. Viwandani na hata mashambani, tufanye kazi sote kwa makini, tujitoe kwa hali na mali, tuijenge jumuiya bora. Jumuiya yetu sote tulilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
At this point, the Bishop of Western Kwale Diocese, Johnson Tuinomojuni, is leading an interfaith prayer. He will determine whether or not this prayer shall be said while we are standing or seated. I now leave that to his discretion. Reverend, only you will determine whether we stay upstanding or we sit. The microphone is yours.
We shall stay upstanding as we pray to the Lord.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ntumusima Mukamarahanga Munyambabazi. Mukamarahanga ntukusima abo kutisya ahizoberi ukaturundanira aha hamwe omwaka ogu, ntukusimira rukundo eyotorekere no kuturinda ukaturiisa kandi ukatunywesa. Ntukusima ahabe bitwine byona kandi ntukusimira ihanga ritu eri Uganda. Mbwenu izoberi Mukamarahanga twayemerera aha kandi twayerurandira aha omumisho gawe omuri Bushenyi omucwekeke kya Kizinda kongera kwijuka oburwire obwa silimu na HIV. Mukamarahanga ntumanya ngwe kibi nekirungirirwa omumisho gawe kandi ombushobozi bwawe. Ntukushaba Mukamarahanga omumazima oyeho oburire obu narushi obuchendeze. Mukamarahanga ntukusima okureba ngu ntwijuke kireki obo turi n'abembezi bitu abihangeri. Westinisa president wihanga azwekiwe vice president weye. Mukamarahanga ntukusimbira obwebembezi obwe burungi obu batorekire kandi n'amani mingi agibatwiremu mu kurwanyisa endwire nkezi. Enyuma haho amani mingi bakagatamu kurwanyisa COVID-19 kandi batiremu n'amani bingi okureba ngu ihangeri nibigira obusinge n'obucurera. Mukamarahanga omwebembezi ogwe president witu kuwakubasa kandi kumwongera amagezi n'obwenge n'amani akongera kwebembera ihangeri n'ekisanje kiri kwija ukaba utukozirege Mukamarahanga. ntukusimira abantu bona abayirandiraha kwerundana kwijuka kireki n'abantu bona batebekanisha omukoro ogu Mukama Ruhanga ntubakusimira nabijaha kureba ngo omukoro ogu nuguba ogw'ekitiinisa Mukama Ruhanga ntukushaba otutingirize endwara ezigumire nkeze za sirimu n'ezindi kandi kuzirabe zatukwasire Mukama Ruhanga otuhereza amaani nana amagezi tubaze kandi kuzisingura shaba Mukama Ruhanga omukoro ogwo gw'eriizooba omwaka ogwo tukuza kuhendera obururo butukuza kuza Mukama Ruhanga bwona otuhe obusinguzi Ruhanga obwe oli omuhezi witu amina n'abandi Regional Kadhi Wankole representing His Eminence the Mufti of Uganda Dr. Shaabani Mubajje.
Gracious and loving God, on this World AIDS Day, we remember all who have been affected by HIV and AIDS. Grant healing to those who are living with the virus, comfort to the families and strength to caregivers. Guide our leaders to make just and compassionate policies that ensure access to health care, protect human dignity, and end stigma. Inspire developmental efforts that address poverty and inequality and help build communities where everyone can live with hope and opportunity. Unite us in love, action, and solidarity as we work toward a world free of AIDS. Mukama otuhe obusinge bwawe, otuhe n'amasiko. Bless us on this day, and may Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Now you can take your seats. Our beloved guest of honor, Your Excellency, the Vice President, representing His Excellency, the President, the Honorable Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament, the Chairperson and Director General, Uganda AIDS Commission, the AIDS Development Partners, esteemed religious and cultural leaders here present, district leaders of Busheji District, representatives of the civil society, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Reverend Johnson Twinomzuni, the Bishop of Western Kole. I take the honor, our beloved guest of honor, to make a statement representing the province of the Church of Uganda for and on behalf of the Council of Presidents of the Inter-Religious Council of Uganda. The Inter-Religious Council of Uganda joins this government and the rest of the world to make and mark the 37th commemoration of the World AIDS Day and to reflect on the significant progress made in the fight against HIV/AIDS, including decades of scientific innovations and community activism. We stand with all those who have lost their lives to this deadly pandemic and all persons living with HIV. As we look to the future, Your Excellency, the national theme of building a sustainable HIV response to end AIDS as a public health threat has never been more critical in establishing durable systems than today. And we can work together to withstand crises, address root inequalities, and ensure that no one is left behind on the path to ending AIDS as a public health threat by the year 2030. Your Excellency, the recent global policy shifts and the looming funding crisis threatens to reverse decades of progress as international assistance to the HIV and AIDS response in Uganda continues to wane. Yet, building sustainability requires bridging this financial gap and to further explore innovative domestic funding models to finance what is known to work for us. These funding cuts remind us of the need to strengthen and build a more resilient and locally owned health system while ensuring increased efficiency and maximizing the impact of existing investments, Your Excellency. We commend the government of Uganda and you, Your Excellency, as our fountain of honor, for moving swiftly to integrate HIV/AIDS interventions into the regular budgets of government, ministries, departments, and local governments, and prioritizing the development of local solutions to ensure long-term sustainability. This, in our view, will enable government to reach more people in need with holistic services and build resilient health systems that serve everyone, everywhere. Your Excellency, as religious leaders, we welcome the scientific advancements such as the long-acting antiretroviral medication used for reducing the risk of acquiring HIV, with priority given to individuals at highest risk of infection, such as young women, pregnant, and breastfeeding mothers. However, we are concerned with the slow progress in the rollout and call for expansion of coverage to reach more communities as a sustainable response demands collective action to ensure equitable access to these life-saving technologies. Our dear Chief Guest, your open and high-level political leadership in the 1990s fostered a climate of transparency and encouraged grassroots action. This approach empowered communities to actively participate in preventing and caring efforts, moving the national response from a purely medical issue to a multi-sectoral societal challenge. In fact, the ABC campaign served as the backbone of the HIV prevention response in the late 80s and the late 90s before the introduction of ART and newer HIV prevention tools like PEP, PrEP, and medical male circumcision, among others, in the 2000s. However, we are concerned with the gradual decline in the intensity of coverage of the ABC campaign, messaging in favor of a science-led approach following the advent of ART and other new HIV prevention technologies. Consequently, Your Excellency, the young people born after 2000 who did not benefit from the ABC campaign have now adopted a culture of normalizing casual sex. We therefore call for a reflection and dialogue on how we can revamp the ABC model alongside the available science to protect this and the future generation and save the country from the reversals of the gains already made, Your Excellency. Fellow Ugandans, our current attitudes and complacence towards HIV in Uganda today presents serious challenges. Current statistics by the Uganda AIDS Commission show that southwestern Uganda, especially in Mbarara district, is becoming the epicenter of new HIV infections in the region. With the introduction of ART and other prevention technologies, most Ugandans now see HIV as a manageable chronic infection rather than an urgent public health threat. This is leading to increased infection rates in many parts of the country, even as funding for HIV and AIDS programs is declining. Your Excellency, let me now near conclusion saying that to build a sustainable response, we need to leverage on the existing resources in our communities, skills, knowledge, and practices which are available tools in ending AIDS, including places of worship as centers of spiritual and social transformation. We need to conduct HIV awareness education that is designed with the community in mind, so that the HIV is demystified and that the associated stigma, discrimination, and other barriers are broken down to facilitate effective action. As faith leaders, we believe that once the community is competent on matters of HIV and AIDS, their quality of life will start to improve from the point of community acknowledges the problem collectively and begins to take action. So as faith communities, we are committed within our mandate to ensure that at every level, we support government and partners to build systems and structures that are responsible, responsive, and flexible, while ensuring all of us as stakeholders are engaged and are working with a long-term perspective of ending HIV as a public health threat by 2030. However, it is time to invest from resources that are locally available through innovation and improved resources pooling systems to build effective and sustainable response mechanisms and meet future health-related obligations. Our chief guest, I conclude. World AIDS Day 2025 reminds us to consider the ways in which we live between the challenges and tensions of the present and hope and expectation for a future of socio-economic transformation. Fellow Ugandans, HIV is still with us. And the scriptures remind us to keep alert, to keep awake, to keep vigilant and ready, so that comfort of the moment does not occlude our vision of transforming and healing Son of righteousness dawning upon us. And finally, though the road to eradication of the pandemic around the world remains long, the signs of hope are clear. As faith leaders, we commit to ensure our sermons embrace compassion, inspire acceptance, and promote equity, as shying away from these issues will only perpetuate the circles of ignorance and prejudice that fuel the spread of HIV/AIDS. We also commit to serve as sanctuaries of hope and healing for those living with or affected by HIV. As leaders, Your Excellency, we have a higher purpose to bring revival and transformation to our country. We invite all the stakeholders to walk this path of building sustainable responses together, ensuring that no one is left behind in our collective effort to end AIDS as a public health threat. For God and my country, Right Reverend Johnson Twinomzune, Bishop of Western Kwere, Province of the Church of Uganda, for and on behalf of the Council of Presidents, Inter-Religious Council of Uganda. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Bishop.
Let me introduce my brother. This is Bishop Emeritus Wonna Katonene, from whom I received the baton. I thank you, my brother. God bless you.
Thank you very much, religious leaders. Now, Your Excellency, the Vice President, I had a bit of a protocol issue, especially with some group that is present. which I thought was part of the religious. But then since they did not join them, now I can comfortably place them. That group is at work. Now that they are not part of the religious leaders, I think that group is part of the cultural leaders. Nyabo ne group yomba nsabo mubire ku vice president. You will agree with me. I did not know whether they were part of the religious or the cultural groups, but since they did not join the religious, they are surely a cultural group. Muture nashmushtami. We have received God's blessings, but perhaps we may need to also get the blessings of the local civilian authority to allow us to continue with our event. And so may I request that the LC1 chairperson of this area, Omwami Mugumya Kahanji, oije otuachire mu kichweka cyawe kandi oterezo rusano kugenda mission omukorogo konka kandi ko twagambire time is of essence. Abebembezi b'amadini nabara nkuko nabemereza speech yawe yatari ngufu konka kandi we chairman Manyangu ebyo bitwiremu abantu bahonogamba nabo buri izoba so twaja nka speech kabe kagufu nkaza kuba kagufu kandi ushaka nchakaro ino mukoro muhango hanu speech yawe ya nchakaro utagihereze rizo. Over to you, sir.
Vice President wa Uganda, ministers mwena bariya, members parliament abaroho, bakuru b'amadini mwena buri mwembi tinsabye amazina n'umugumya kahanje chairman LC1 wa Tina Trading Center umwanya uko ninja kubacira umwanya uko omusero yitweji ya Tina Trading Center kandi buri omwe mwena mukizo bakozaha tebekana aho kuba sero yito nunje muno omujenya mukuru abwecurece kitiza kuzagurazaha narukwizuka kandi mukikozereke munonga ako bwiro bwinyi muhoro ngo muri kizinda nitwe tukizayo ubwiro bwa AIDS konka abo kuburwanisa munonga no kuburagorora ukacendera haturije munonga icya kabiri ubwo mwanya gumwiza kuzagorozamu tugwiniye rwaro no bakurwara amarwaro agutwine garahware mutansaba omusereji no mutano kanso yitu mutemu irwaro cyetero ubwiro bwacendera ahandi mbasimira president wihangeri abo amana gwiyatireho abo bwiro bwasiri mu bwizire bukaba honda ni sabantu umuntu akirwara tanaka kurogire kuko ko yayangize mu batkuzo mu marwaro kucebeza bamanyo bwire bwabo kandi emparana za humbantu buri umwe yaza kurabuza cyakoraje munonga abantu bamango burwire no bw'ikizungu babura kuzana bukira batarabo kwekika bukozo mu family bakatera n'enganda kandi uburwire bw'ikizungu acho nkibasimira kandi nkibasimira kugeza aho kuraguza barango burwire obu bwaraguzubwa kandi bwacira nabo abutakizire konko umuntu nagenderaho akore imirimo ye izoba ryahikogenda ahandi ahabushaha tawuno kanso yitweji imwaki amwahika mwareba twine ekizimbe cyitecho cyakahwire offices zito ziryaho na no mwari kumwa kubasha kutamwirwaro government eje katwita kanarahango honaho mukuzantitaho konka tanshaba mwaturekera irwaro tawuno kanso yakizinde karebe kaci nebyo ahabo bwabo bunahirwa abantu aba nincherezana nabo vice president omujenya mukuru no muicheze wa kore mukoro yanyu mwanya ogu mutine songa yona mpaka murejereho ntakeberwe kintu cyango ningaraka sabira president Museveni akaruru na ba president na ba Frag Bear abona ahabwe kinina cyiti cha movement mwena abaryokwe muri mu bahagira twasingana % mpango nebyo mukama gumenimwe.
Thank you very much, LC1 Chairperson. Your Excellency, the LC1's message was an interesting one. That whereas he has given us the official license to operate our function here today commemorating International AIDS Day, this area does not have a worthy medical facility to talk about. And he was making an appeal to government to ensure that soon you can have a medical facility built here. The advantage, Your Excellency, is that I see representatives of the Uganda Revenue Authority here with us. I think those are the ones mandated to collect money, which then they pass on to you as a government, which then you use to carry out the delivery of social services, including and not limited to provision of health services. So when chairman wakwena kwerezi rwaro naba URA baria mwena nishamuna abantu babo bakunje bahereze mishoro hate mishoro ejo niyo government eri kuyawe sente ikije kombe kama rwaro ekombe kama shomero na nebindi mkwani mushaba government gwekoreki ebihereze abantu. So mbwe nebyo tuyine ho mujenyi mukuru nawe owatwe yungaho mbwenu. This special guest is an interesting one. I think he prefers not to be introduced. He will introduce himself. And so it is my humble pleasure to say, let that guest arrive in our midst. Thank you.
I want to thank the Minister for Presidency for coordinating the presidential fast track for ending HIV/AIDS by 2030. You can clap for her. When I was talking to my scientists, they told me we can end this AIDS by 2030 because in this Abarwani, I fought these bad leaders like Hamini, then I fought polio, I fought Konyi, I fought COVID. Then I told my son, we can also fight AIDS by 2030. So my people told me But the problem is these young people. They are very indisciplined, but no jemo. Especially those who do bad practices, like drinking. Because when you go out and they drink, then after you sleep with people, you get HIV. And then you say, oh, because Moguru Termuenge. Oh. Now that's very bad. Because they even have a song, Moguru Terio Muenge, Katugunywa Kate, but Turuganda yo, Taturu Shangayo Muenge. Do you want to go to heaven? Because of drinking. Then there is also another bad practice that has threatened the young generation, and that is prostitution. Owamaraya. What are you saying? All this causes HIV/AIDS. Then there is also these these old men. They call them what? Sugar daddy. Now, what is sugar in you when you are infecting young girls? Those things should stop. Because I want to make sure that we don't have HIV by 2030. So, I want to make sure that these young people who claim that we are doing prostitution because of poverty. Oh, there is PDM. Where is the minister for local government? Is the minister here? Come. You come. Run. No, this must be from opposition. But I'm a fighter. So I want to make sure that you streamline HIV in the local government. I want to make sure that these young people who claim that they drink, they enter into prostitution because of poverty, make sure that next year they get PDM money. And you know, I've been giving out 1 million of PDM.
One.
Now, because we want to end HIV by 2030, I'm going to extend it to 3 million. So I want to, you tell them, Babure.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Abanyabushenyi muri je muri kurungi banshaba ngungambe edakika 2 ha PDM kandi kwera kwatagana n'ibya HIV/AIDS mukamanje PDM Parish Development Model mwena barahanuya mwagihurireho President omukutereza esente ngutuzubahereze miliyoni 1 buruka ekigenderirwa no kugira ngo urugo mugoro urugo mukorera enda yonka ozo mukora otasye akasente niyoze umbantu abina akasente omagaragabo mumakagabo twagira orientation nungi ntuza kutunga endya nungi ntuza kutunga okutwarwanisa akakoko ka sirimu nawe echo wekitinisa ni tuyaba Minister of Local Government twetebekanise kukora ekyo ahano yahina batungira sente za PDM mwimukizo mukuru ogwo mukono abarebe aho kitinisa babareba ebi waragira tuza kubugambaho mu cabinet kandi turi kutwabita mu nkora we bari munonga.
Now you have heard. So as I conclude, I want to thank you. Don't forget to vote for the man with the Chikofera on 15th January, so that we take Uganda as we protect our gains. Thank you very much.
Now, do I really have to introduce who the main act was? Certainly not. He's now coming. The Vice President, jokes aside, let's now proceed with the regular programming of this event. Your Excellency, in the days gone by, HIV and AIDS was regarded as a death sentence if one contracted it. But even worse, for their families and their immediate cycles. Whereas it's still not a good thing to contract, but there is certainly quite a bit of hope that comes with it. And to exemplify that hope, we have in our midst people living with HIV and AIDS. And we do not segregate against them because that's within what we don't want to call an acceptable behavior that many regard as stigma. And so I want to invite in a very humble way a representative of people living with HIV and AIDS, a very known face to all of us, and also, interestingly, a man with whom you share a rank in the army. Major, retired, Robaramera Ruranga, I saw you. This is my opportunity to invite you to come and share with us that statement of hope representing people living with HIV and AIDS. You're going to come here with a colleague of yours called Flavia, who I will introduce in due course. Thank you very much. Has a statement gayo nani shabangu chairman LC5 wa Bushenyi district obeno yetebe kanisa, because you'll be the next act after this statement of people living with HIV. Please come to the podium.
I would like to ride on the protocols which are already recognized in order to save time. My names are Rubaramira Ruranga. I am a major that left the army about 20 years ago. So I am now called Resistance Officer Veteran. The reason I'm here really is to share with people about the way people have misunderstood the virus we call HIV and the fact that we can live with it. I'm hearing people saying people who are here living with HIV and AIDS. Of course, you can't be having AIDS and be here, because AIDS is the end of HIV. So people who are here, including us all here, do not have AIDS. They only live with HIV. And I think people should understand this, because AIDS seems to be a condemnatory word that people used to stigmatize other people. I'm 77 years old. I have lived with HIV for 40 years. And I don't want people to mistake my stick as if that is the beginning of AIDS. Not at all. I just have undergone 10 spine surgeries about eight months ago. And my back is not yet stable, but I do think I will eventually throw away this stick, because I am still a fighter, and I don't believe I will die of AIDS. I have always told people I will die of age, and 77 is enough for me to have gone. I'm lucky that I'm still living, and I want to tell people, those who are already having HIV, you don't have to fear. You only have to be ready to fight. HIV can be fought, and when we talk about the gains the President of Uganda and his government have done, is the keeping of people alive, because many people would have died. I consider him the bravest man in this world. He recognized AIDS very early than any other president that you can think about. And in fact, the UNAIDS, which we talk about, is a copycat of Uganda AIDS Commission. Uganda AIDS Commission is older than UNAIDS. I remember in 1990, I was one of the people who went to Geneva to discuss how UNAIDS would be formed. So I'm very proud to tell people that to live with HIV needs discipline. The drugs that are there can keep people alive, and they can live a normal life. I have had 6 children when I already have HIV, and none of them is infected. Neither is their mother infected. So the reason, this business of people being threatened, you know you have this, and therefore you won't have children. No, that's not true. We need discipline. We need to take medicines as prescribed. If we do that, there is nobody that is going to die of AIDS. We shall all die of age. After all, everybody shall die at one point. So, let us look at AIDS as something that this government has defeated. If they haven't, I wouldn't be alive by this time. 40 years? I would have gone. So, AIDS has been defeated, just like all these other communicable diseases that needed vaccines that now have helped all the young people to be around. Long time ago, children at 5 years were dying as if you know, they were flies. But today, the population has become big because of this help that the president has brought about. So, achievements are there, and we must protect them. Anyone who does not see this certainly does not have eyes, because there is a lot to be protected, and it must be protected. I would like to end by saying this, that HIV is very expensive. I think those of us who have got HIV must help government to help us. Because when you infect a person, you are actually causing a problem to yourself. The need for more money, which may not be around at that time. So those people who have got HIV, and I don't see why the HIV is still spread at this time. We are still 1.5 million people living with HIV. 930 women, 930,000 women get infected, are infected already. Who is infecting who? People who are taking drugs or those who are not? We need to examine this. Surely, if we have tried to get medicine to save your life, why should you infect any other person? I think we must have maybe a new approach. We need to think harder, because I don't see why the virus continues to spread. I thank you. Are you introduced? Mr. Who? I now take the pleasure to invite a board chairperson of Nafafano administration, Vatim Salome. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Major, for that. The constituency, as usual, you're all welcome. Kindly come and join us. All persons living with HIV, standing in for their families, are welcome to the podium. Especially Bushenyi district, I saw the representatives around. The National Forum of People Living with HIV and AIDS Networks in Uganda is here to make a statement this 1st December 2025 in Bushenyi District Local Government at Kizinda Grounds. Our dear guest of honor, Your Excellency the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, Major Retired Jessica Lupo, Minister in charge of Presidency, Honorable Babire Mili Babalanda, and all cabinet ministers present, Chairperson HIV Committee of the Parliament of Uganda, Honorable Netalisire Sarah Kayagi, and other members of Parliament present, Chairperson AIDS Development Partners Group, Chair and Director General Uganda AIDS Commission, LC5 Chairperson Bushenyi, and the district local government, political and technical leadership, Interreligious Council Uganda, Bushenyi District Local Government, Bushenyi District Forum of People Living with HIV Networks and Groups, LC1 Chairperson Kizinda Cell, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Good day to you all, and welcome to this World AIDS Commemoration 2025. My name is Salome Atim, the Chairperson National Forum of People Living with HIV and AIDS Networks in Uganda, NAFOPANO, which Your Excellency launched in 2003. This self-coordinating entity under Uganda AIDS Commission partnership has since grown from 56 original district forums to coordinate 135 district PLHIV networks, including Bushenyi District Forum, 18 national people living with HIV networks, and 10 city PLHIV living with HIV forums. Your Excellency, on this 27th Earth Day commemoration, we stand here before you representing the 1.5 million people living with HIV in Uganda to share this statement. We applaud your government for the support you have offered people living with HIV over the last 40 years of the HIV response. We are glad that you are still here to serve Uganda for another 5-year term. NAFOPANO is committed to joining you in the next 5 years to consolidate the 40 years HIV response gains within your leadership in positive health, dignity, and prevention. Your Excellency, today we mainly come before you to seek your support for 10 billion Ugandan shillings to secure land to build a home of champions living with HIV, to host the NAFOPANO Secretariat, which will contain a training auditorium, the PLHIV circle, and a wellness center. The purpose of our request is based on the following. We evolved from the shadows of 1980 to today. Hope, a journey of resilience and courage. Your Excellency, as we commemorate World AIDS Day, we reflect on Uganda's journey through the strain, pain, and crisis of the early HIV epidemic. A time when information was scarce, fear gripped communities, and death devastated villages. We remember the bold efforts of the government, especially your efforts to confront HIV stigma in the late 1980s. We honor the early activism of pioneers like late Philly Bongole Lutaya and others for their courage as people openly living with HIV who organize through post-test clubs and initiatives, especially community barrier support groups. These groups broke stigma, demanded rights, and provided hope. We educated peers, offered psychosocial support, and met basic needs. We conducted home visits, delivered home-based care, and provided bedside services to the bedridden, helping them live positively while awaiting scientific breakthroughs. While thousands died, we did not relent. We supported each other. We volunteered tirelessly as unseen public servants, partially heard, driven by Ubuntu and the strength of our social ties. We opened our homes to orphans, cared for them pro bono, and acted out of passion, born from pain, loss, and the determination to save lives while surviving. We recall our role in research projects and programs, offered blood and other specimens to advance science. We witnessed the first art trials, PMTCT, oral TB treatment trials in 1994, DAT in 2003, Test and Treat in 2016, and many scientific trials that became global models. We gave ourselves freely because we needed to live, sometimes sharing doses of art just to see another day. We put ourselves in harm's way to save lives, ours and others. Today, we look back, we honor the resilience, sacrifice, and solidarity that has carried us through. We continue to work despite the funding cuts, unwavering in our desire to save, but mostly save another life. We are leaders and we lead. We have led the fight against HIV stigma, facing it head-on, and reclaimed our dignity through positive health, dignity, and prevention. We share our stories without fear and empower others to access HIV services. Today, 94% of Ugandans, 1.5 million people, living with HIV are on earth. 91% of these are virally suppressed, thanks to our joint efforts. We lead stigma index surveys, inform government and partners about realities we face, and tell our stories in clubs and organizations. We empower new members to manage programs, attract resources, and champion treatment literacy, adherence, community mobilization, service quality monitoring, and prevention initiatives. We have built structures that have endured for 30 years, running from national, district, sub-county, parish, village level, support groups, and family. We have nurtured champions, mentor mothers and fathers, parasocial workers, young adolescent program support, and peer educators. Most of this work was and is being done voluntarily. However, we are faced with funding crisis. Despite our resilience, the funding crisis has hit us hard. Prevention and education were paralyzed. Community initiatives like differentiated service delivery models froze. The Ministry of Health issued a circular on February 7, 2025, mandating integration and closure of standalone HIV and TB clinics. People living with HIV networks and associations, already demoralized, faced panic with reported long queues at facilities, recurrent art stockouts, reduced privacy and confidentiality, continue to live in fear. Adolescent corners, safe spaces, shelters, and drop-in centers closed or relocated to unsafe spaces. With funding cuts, the most marginalized were excluded again. People with disability, adolescent girls and young women, the older persons, among others. People living with HIV organizations and networks closed or now operate at suboptimal capacity. Discussions continue under the National HIV Response Sustainability Roadmap to secure intentional funding for community health workers and structures that have played critical public service role for the 40 years side by side with village health teams. The NAFO panel launched in 2003 to protect people living with HIV rights and ensure coordinated representation that has led for 22 years, mobilized 135 district forums, 18 national PLHIV networks, and 10 city PLHIV forums, is at the verge of erasure. Funding cuts led to paralyze PLHIV-led community interventions. Over 8,400 community health workers, majority people living with HIV, and staff layoffs, unmet infrastructure needs, and loss of livelihoods is being experienced. After 22 years, NAFOPANO vacated the premises in 2025 from a building that was condemned and now operates from Uganda AIDS Commission Resource Center while fundraising for a permanent home, a home of champions. In addition, many national and district PLHIV networks previously hosted by NAFOPANO have closed, further destabilizing the PLHIV community access to HIV and other related health services. Your Excellency, as we rise and recover, this is our call to action. with the National Forum of People Living with HIV and AIDS Networks in Uganda and our members, reaffirm our role as partners in the HIV response. We pledge to recover from funding cuts, mobilize resources, and continue support to the 200,000 PHIVs not yet in care, 200,000 lost to follow up, and 60,000 non-suppressed individuals. We will sustain support to the 1.3 million people in care and guard jealously our 40 years HIV response gains. Your Excellency, to consolidate the above gains as stated earlier, we seek your support to secure a home to center our programs. With no home to operate from, coordination becomes difficult. We by this statement request for 10 billion Ugandan shillings to secure land and build a home of champions to host our secretariat, the training auditorium, the PHIV circle, and the wellness center, which is being projected right there. We call on government and partners to invest in supporting to restore the national PHIV programming to ensure sustained community mobilization, treatment literacy, psychosocial support, and adherence, including requesting the district local governments, city councils, and sub-counties, municipalities to offer space to host all the district or city forums and other subnational forums, as well as other networks that have closed due to the funding cuts. Uganda public service pillars, especially peace and investment, should include people living with HIV as mutual partners in national development. As community public servants, we people living with HIV continue to demonstrate patriotism and solidarity, driven by a passion for promotion, protection, and respect for human values. As I conclude, Your Excellency, the people living with HIV leadership and I wish to meet you in person soon, if it is agreeable to you, to further share our proposed Home of Champion request and discuss how we can continue to complement government to eliminate HIV as a public health threat in Uganda. We, the people living with HIV, shall not surrender until HIV and AIDS is history. Together for a positive living. Thank you.
Bantu mwena nishabangu speech tuzitero mu ngaro ne speech nkuru kandi nja niyo speech nkuru mnonga yo Lunaku nkuru kureba abantu abakuhangara n'akakoko ka sirimu baroho bina amagara kandi bakwenda kwongera amana gabo aharyagwaga gavumenti okurwanisa oburwiro. Your Excellency the Vice President, it is indeed true that this for us is the most important speech of the day, because as a wise man once said, there is nothing for us without us. And so this is what the message from people living with HIV and AIDS are saying on such a day, that you will not come here as a nation to commemorate the International AIDS Day without their voice being heard as people living with HIV and AIDS. And in fact, as you heard in their speech, they now call themselves champions. So the champions and your leadership, please proceed and go shake the hand of the Vice President. And you know they have many instructions, and among them they are saying, can we have a photo with her? She is there for you. She's a very amiable Vice President. She will not only allow a photograph, in fact, she may take you with her. Your Excellency, as you meet and greet the leadership of people living with HIV and AIDS, I wish to make a brief announcement. Abantu babushenyi n'abagenyi abatweyungaho hari ekitongole eki barikweta Uganet biine aha tenti. Uganet is the national network for law, ethics and HIV and AIDS. Biine obutumwa nibajya nkora abo ine omushango gwona narisho enshonga yoona ekushobire abo kugira ngu iwe oyine akakoko ka siriimu narishi orikukwataho hiine okwarimu natwazibwa kubi either nibamubinga omunju nibagiza kumwihaho ekibanja bakamwima abaana emishango nimugimanya nk'egyo erikuteganisa abantu kandi ebyo nabikukorerwa abagenzi biitu abo kandi bateekateeka nk'okuba oyine akakoko ka siriimu nobaasa kuba otiine okubaasa kwebaasa. Mwena aba Uganet nibajya ngu muzeeyo aha tenti yaabo obashoborere enshonga yawe nabo nibaza kukwatiraho kandi bakuheereze amagezi bakukwatireho otarikushashura sente yoona. To put it in English, Uganet is running a pro bono legal clinic for people living with HIV and those gravely affected by it. So please get a moment, pass by their tent and receive their services. May I request the chairperson of Mukenenya district for LC5 to be on his way so that he makes the statement. Sebo nahura nibakweta governor w'ekicweka eki lazima obwa governor n'obusha mbwenu sebo twakwakira ngu ije mwami basajja baraba hajye ebigambo bike ebwatuganirira aha orikureba mukama w'ihanga vice president. Chairman wanyu mutera omungaro bantu mwe tumwamushemerwa.
Thank you very much, Kagambizi Umukoro. Our chief guest, none other than the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, who is representing His Excellency the President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Member of Parliament and Ministers present, all protocol observed. Your Excellency, the Vice President, we have a number of people, but I want first to recognize my fellow chairpersons who are here to commemorate with us. We have these chairpersons of Southwestern region. I saw Chairman Buhwezu and others, the Chief Administrative Officer, resident district commissioners, our religious leaders, Bishop of Western Korea Diocese, the regional card, our parish priest representing the Archbishop Lambert Binomugisha, our distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the leadership and the people of Mukenenya district, I extend our heartfelt appreciation to the government, especially the President of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for accepting our request to host the national or world celebration of World AIDS Day. This honor reflects the confidence and trust placed in our district to champion the national response to HIV/AIDS, and we are deeply grateful for the recognition. Uganda was one of the first countries in Africa to acknowledge the AIDS epidemic, reporting its first case in 1982. Since then, the country has made tremendous progress in combating the disease. HIV/AIDS has been a major public health concern in Uganda for over 3 decades. The disease spread rapidly in the 80s, with the infection rate picking up in the mid-1990s. Hosting this important commemoration is not only a privilege, but also an opportunity for Bushenyi to reaffirm its commitment to fighting the epidemic and promoting the well-being of all citizens. This is especially important given that Bushenyi's HIV prevalence rate currently stands at 8%, significantly higher than the national average of 4.9%. With Chizinda Town Council identified as one of the key hotspots within the district, we thank the Minister of Health, the Uganda AIDS Commission, and all government agencies for their continued guidance and collaboration. The decision to bring all this year's celebration to Bushenyi underscores the value of partnership and the importance of bringing national events closer to the communities most impacted. It also strengthens to resolve to intensify care, treatment, and support services across all sub-counties and sectors within our district, particularly in hotspot areas that require heightened attention and resource allocation. We further appreciate the government's ongoing investment in health system strengthening, community harmonization, mobilization, and HIV/AIDS program that have significantly contributed to improved health outcomes in our region. This support has empowered local leaders, health workers, and building resilient communities as we confront higher than the average prevalence rate. This partnership remains vital in guiding evidence-based intervention and assuring communities as we celebrate this year's World AIDS Day. Bushenyi District stands ready to deliver a memorable and impactful celebrations. We praise our full support, cooperation, unity, and commitment, ensuring that the event raises awareness, inspires action, and reinforces the national agenda of ending AIDS as a public health threat. Once again, we sincerely thank the government for choosing Bushenyi as a host. Your Excellency, the Vice President, I want also to thank Uganda AIDS Commission, headed by the chairperson, Dr. Senyonyi, who is present with us, the Director General, Dr. Musoba. We also want to thank the County Director, UNAIDS, Madam Jacqueline Makoha is here, and others, plus our district, headed by none other than our Chief Administrative Officer and his staff. We have the political leaders, our district councillors, chairpersons, His Worship the Mayor, all are here to make sure that this event becomes colorful. But, Your Excellency, we have challenges. When our dear Minister of Local Government was here, he talked about the issue of making sure that we integrate or we incorporate members of those living with HIV/AIDS to make sure that what we do when we are giving out government program goods and services, we make sure that we include those people who are living with HIV. But the problem is, Madam Vice President, it's very difficult to identify those who are living with HIV to make sure that we make them part of that arrangement, because disclosure is very difficult. Last but not least is the issue of having health centers. Abishemwe abaliaha obuzibu butwine kandi butwenda mukuru w'ihanga ayazwekirwa vice president omucwekomu ekyakizinda town council twine mu health center 3 nka policy ya government kwegamba kandi twe nka Bushenyi local government we have already allocated a place in Kigoma irwara yo ehiryaza nani nja mutero mu ngaro n'ekintu ni warataka kigambi ekyamuheru I'm a politician, I'm a district chairperson nani nyenda abarya of protecting against as been achieved by the NRM government twantwenda every 15 teremze ikofira akaruru Museveni oye Museveni abeho kandi muhereze n'ensagarizi ezirabe ziri yero abo kuba yero nekorana yero nebyo kambendeza okubahanuya kandi mbeta tomorrow nyencha kare aha mwanya ngo gumwe ntuza kubantu akira omukundwa witu His Excellency the President kandi akwatire NRM kibina kitwe bendera nyencha kare mwizo mbwingi tumusupporting ebendera egumerya higuru mukimanye Bishop Peter roba kugira ngo hari bendera ne bendera. Your Excellency, our Lord Bishop normally tells us that there is a flag and there is a flag, meaning a flag ya mani ahona naka flaga obuche mwenchaka mwize twakire bendera leru every 15 tugiterere akaruru egarite twali myaka 5 nebyo mukama gumeni hada salamu alaikum wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh nasigarandi honorable basajja baraba Jafari district chairperson our Bushenyi district mwebale mnongo.
Thank you very much Mr. Chairman. Your Excellency, whatever goes wrong today, now we know who to blame, who to hold accountable, and that includes whether the weather changes or not. So when Chairman womwanyogu otwesere ngunoza to your host us, we hope and we continue to enjoy your hospitality and we hope that nothing goes wrong. Funza Funzom program here is over. May I now have the pleasure to make the following announcement. People of Bushenyi, the issue of HIV and AIDS is very important and dear to His Excellency the President, that he put it directly under his office. And so the Uganda AIDS Commission is part of the office of the President. And the office of the President is so important that it has a minister of the presidency. Honorable Miri Babaranda, as the Minister of the Presidency, please stand up and the people of Bushenyi see you to show how serious the issue of HIV and AIDS is to His Excellency and the government of Uganda. Nwogo Minister wa President, ninja bukurweni mbureba, the Minister wa President, kandom office ya Minister ogu, nimwari meshitongore, echikurra emirimo ya government ekwatirine na siribu, your AIDS Commission. Mwena nebyo, may I request humbly that together with your chairperson, Dr. Nelson Musoba, the Executive Director of Uganda AIDS Commission, together with your chairperson of board, Dr. Ruth Senyonyi, please come and share with us what I normally joke with you as your annual State of AIDS report. But from the program, it is regarded as a progress report on the implementation of the Presidential Fast Track Initiative on ending AIDS by 2030. Bantumwe ogunwe abamba kukoresha ikitongo cya Uganda AIDS Commission nani shabangu tubatero mu ngaro. Emirimo ya government yone kwata na chikoko cha sirimu abantu bachikwatirireho umuhurano bagira ngo sirimu twaje rwanisa twaza kugitera hansi aba nabo bebembire ekitongore echo. Over to you, Madam Chairperson.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, who is our chief guest today, the honorable ministers present, honorable members of parliament, Your Excellencies, the heads of diplomatic missions, the religious leaders from the Interreligious Council of Uganda, the local government leaders,
Chairman,